Hey guys, happy Monday. No countdown tonight because I'm already late. I apologize. I just got off a work meeting that literally ended a couple minutes ago. I had to rush to get ready for this. We're all ready tonight. We're going to have a bunch of fun. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to be talking about Arcade OneUp and AtGames possibly entering into the commercial arcade market. Is this something that makes sense? And if it does, which company can be more successful? And then right after that, it's a double topic stream because we're also going to be talking about the potential Sega arcade cabinet with Sonic branding. Does this make sense? And can you see Arcade OneUp moving away from doing classic arcades and more ridiculous branding type concepts like this in the future? Anyways, guys, I hope you have a great night. This is Chill and Chat with Michael B. Oh, Justin, I didn't think I was going to make it, man.
You were sitting on the pot a little too long, huh?
Wagner's Tech Talk. Mike, did you fall in? I thought I might have. It was getting close. Mark Rickman says work meeting. I actually do work.
It's a work meeting
outside of this.
I was stuck in my office all day.
Come on, Michael B. It's Monday Night Raw. I know this is one I actually regret missing because potentially something cool could happen tonight, but I don't think it's actually going to happen. Justin, I wish you hadn't told people I was using the washroom because now everybody thinks that. What else are you going to say? I know.
It's funny because it's true.
Goofyfoot, you don't feel forced to give me $100 cabinet. We're not going to talk about the Sega cabinet. I'm going to be clear about this. I'm not talking about the Sega cabinet. I'm talking about the possibility of Arcade OneUp doing more cabinets of this style and what else they could do in the future. And is it a good idea? Who is this for? That's the idea. It's always very highbrow stuff here. Not really. So, Justin, how you been? Long time no see.
Yeah, long time no see. I've been doing pretty good. For some reason, I gotta go to the bathroom. Well, this show's starting off right. No, I'm good. Things have been good. We chat a lot, so I'm like, what do I need to catch up Mike on?
Yeah. So, anything happen in the entertainment world recently?
Not really. I don't know anything that would be popular. It's kind of funny. There was this show that not very many people watch that's getting a lot of publicity lately. And I'm almost like, should we talk about it? I'm like, I think everyone knows. This is the weirdest thing I'll tell you about the Oscars, right? Is there's still people saying, have you heard about that?
I live in the world.
Did you hear about that? This is what's interesting about it. Forget about what side you're on or whatever. Have you ever thought that event has probably been seen by 1 billion people?
Oh, yeah.
Like, no joke. Facebook, the platform itself, has 1 billion people on it. There's probably not one group that doesn't have one meme about that.
And I'm the kind of person, like, I don't get off on public drama and stuff like that. That's not what excites me. But the memes have just been so good. So I have enjoyed it for that.
So you're right. We're not going to talk about it tonight, but we do have an announcement. There's a Will Smith cabinet coming out. He's going to be, it's a new Street Fighter, right? It's a Street Fighter XL with Will Smith on the side going whack.
So I will tell you this, like, Justin, are you a movie fan? Do you watch like a lot of movies? Like, I got a big basement downstairs with like 14,000 DVDs for some reason. People come in the basement and they're like, oh, would you knock off a Blockbuster? And I'm like, well, technically, yes. So I used to watch the Oscars nonstop, but I haven't watched for a very long time because I get too personally involved in the films I watch and the style I like. And it bothers me too much when the people I want to win don't win. Like the year Bill Murray was nominated for, what was the name of the movie? Bill Murray was nominated for...
What About Bob?
I wish he was nominated for What About Bob. He deserved it. But I can't remember the exact name of the movie now. But like seeing people nominated in Out of the Bounds, stuff like that, and not getting it, and then other pictures getting it, I just realized I wasn't a filmophile enough to really care about this anymore. And my interest changed too. Like, I used to like the pieces that made you think, but I'm at the point in my life now where I don't really want to think anymore. I just want to watch Commando. So
this is kind of like the way you play beat 'em up games too, right?
Yeah.
You're like, just let me play the beat 'em up games that I just smash, press buttons, and then 30 minutes later I beat the game.
That's right. I just want to shut my brain off and enjoy myself. I'm at that point in my life, so I'm kind of checked out on the Oscars. Very embarrassing moment, and the memes have been fantastic, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
That's it. Let's move on
Yeah.
to the next piece of it. So what's our main topic here?
Our main topic is something I didn't actually... Lost in Translation was the
There
name
you
of the movie.
go.
Excellent movie. So our main topic is there a possibility that Arcade OneUp will follow suit with AtGames and look at doing commercial cabinets? Now, you're probably saying, Mike, are you crazy?
Are you crazy, Mike? That is what I'm saying.
I might be a little bit, but let me explain this. So a while back, I'm part of this AtGames influencer group.
Mhm.
And they introduced to us their AtGames Legends Pinball. And I guess it's, what's it called? The Operator Edition, or I don't know what it was called publicly. Got the one here, Commercial Edition. That's what they're calling it. So they announced that they're doing an AtGames Legends Pinball Commercial Edition. And I was left thinking to myself, who would buy this? Like anybody with an arcade, I mean, they're going to look at real pinballs. Why would anybody with an arcade be interested in picking up a virtual pinball cabinet and putting it in their store? So I think Ralph did a really good stream on it. And I mean, Ralph is got a very strong feeling about AtGames. I don't know if you had done any videos or you had any thoughts on it you had put out yet.
I don't think I was motivated enough to talk on the subject, but
yeah,
I had thought there's a couple different ways you could go at it. One is where my mind goes is AtGames always has a twist. There's always a twist to it that you may not see coming. And if you think they're like just, no, we're coming out with a pinball that's commercial and that's it. No, there's no way. It's like, that's what they're going to market. But really there's this twist where it's like, where it's kind of like, hey, we're going to make it. This was something I just kind of came up with. It was like, we're going to make a commercial product. To buy the license, you have to pay an additional $1,000 to make it a coin operated, but that piece is an accessory. So you could technically buy that cabinet for the home, and then really it's like an XL pinball that like one-ups one-up, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
In this weird navigated way, and they're just saying it's commercial quality and it's for the commercial people, but really people are just buying it at their home.
So that was your thought. So I looked at it, and like I said, I didn't see any arcades possibly picking this up. I mean, you have the option for real. I'm assuming a lot of them have distributor deals with a lot of these companies. Like if they're dealing to get other machines, they're probably using the same distributor to get their pinball as well. So if they use an outside person, that may impact it. It's like the movie store back in the day. Like it's not like the movie store, Blockbuster just went to Walmart and picked up a bunch of DVDs.
Right, no.
They used a distributor. They had to, right?
And they had to pay for it. Like it's commercial pay for. It's like those were like $90 movies each one, you know, and then they had to, you know, rent it out at $3-4 a pop. Just maybe they'd get their money back after a month or two or something.
Yeah. So I want to load up a picture here, and this kind of changed my mind on really everything. And I got to figure out if I'm going to add it to the right place here, because I'm kind of dumb and I put stuff in the wrong places, Justin. I'm going to admit that to you.
Here it comes.
All right, you keep people entertained while I find this picture.
All right, guys. So what do you think down below? Can you guess where Michael B is going? Because I can't tell. But give us your thoughts down in the chat of this idea that, you know, AtGames doing commercial. What's their twist? You know, what's their marketing ploy? And would Arcade OneUp do that as well?
So I want to show you this. This came out of our Canadian fan page, and this is from a restaurant called Jack Astor's. Is Jack Astor's a franchise up your way?
I'm not familiar with it.
So it's a Jack Astor's bar, which is a pretty popular restaurant. This is from our Canadian fan page. And what they did was they actually went out and bought a bunch of the partycades, and they decided to stick the partycades, the Arcade OneUp ones, up inside their bar to give people an option to play. We used to have a restaurant chain here in Canada. We don't really have it in Newfoundland anymore. I think it's still available in Canada, called Don Cherry's. And they used to do something similar back in the day where they'd have little TVs at some tables, and they'd have a PlayStation you could just play while you were there. So
there you go. Yep.
It's kind of a fun attitude. So I saw this and I was like, there's something there. So then I also saw, I sold a couple of my pinball tables recently, which I told you about. I also sold my NBA Jam Arcade OneUp, but I sold it both to the same guy who bought all of them. And what he's doing is he's opening a free play arcade somewhere in the province, doesn't have a lot of real arcade cabinets, and he's filling some of that space up with Arcade OneUps as well. There's also stuff in the US groups that I've seen a couple times with people posting up B&Es that have Arcade OneUp cabinets in the bed and breakfasts, in the vacation resorts, and also one guy, and I'm sure you've seen this one, he's got like a party bus, like a van with a bunch of Arcade OneUps in the back of the van.
Yeah, we have one here in town. Yeah, that.
So
birthday parties and stuff.
Is it a video game van, or is he trying to kidnap children from the park? Which one is it?
It's a little scary. It's sketchy, right? You don't know.
Yeah. So it left me thinking maybe AtGames is actually being really smart on this. Maybe they're not trying to. Maybe they're not really trying to sell their commercial edition necessarily to arcades that already have arcade machines. Maybe they're looking for other places, like maybe bingo halls, smaller venues that would like to have some kind of machine, restaurants, and they could sell it there, provide just like this virtual option, kind of like what people are already doing with Arcade OneUp cabinets.
Well, that's interesting. That is new to me. This idea that the home arcade can go into commercial, but it's not what you think. It's this, like, we're not going to try to... Here's the interesting thing, because I've been talking to a lot of arcade owners recently. I went to that auction, and I started to get to know them, and they were telling me about how there was like an arcade that opened up in this area called Jordan Creek in Des Moines. And then there's another one that popped up that's just down the street. And the one arcade owner said to the other arcade owner, they're so close. Do they compete? And he goes, no, different demographics. Can you believe it? It's like you can, in our area, which is not a very big metropolitan area, it's like 300,000 people in the metro area, you can actually have two arcades near each other, but one's catering a different crowd than the other, and they're not losing business. They're almost not competing.
Yeah.
It's just the age group that goes to one and the type of games that are in the one versus the other. And it makes me think what you're saying is like, maybe there's this new group of people where it's like, it's not an arcade like you think. It's just a bar, and they would put home arcade there. I'm not 100% sold, but I get the story.
Yeah. Other options too, other places that don't have, I guess, real dedicated arcade cabinets, maybe like fun lands and stupid stuff like that. Like, do you have like a place where you bring your kids where they have a bunch of games, not necessarily arcade machines, but like token games?
Sure.
What do they call them?
Guys in the chat, what is it? Oh, redemption machines?
Redemption machines and stuff like that.
So we went to one this last week and had a lot of redemptions, but it also had like raw thrills there. You know, they had like, I went there a while ago and they only had 2 of the Cruise and Blast. Now they have 4 or 5 Cruise and Blast, so that they're continuing to expand. But they did have a lot of redemption. Willy Wonka, try to put the coin in and then you get tickets to come out. But I don't see any home arcade ever going in there. Now, here's what's interesting, though. That place that I'm talking about did have, there's no CRTs in there at all. But they did have a Pixelcade, a Pixel Bash.
Yeah.
They had a Pixel Bash, and they had the Ms. Pac-Man original, but with a 19-inch LCD in it and a 60-in-1.
Yeah.
And it was totally like swipe the card to unlock the 60-in-1. Like they had it wired up that a credit would.
Was the Pixel Bash done that way too?
Yep. Everything in there was done with you go put credit on a card and then you use the card for points.
Goofy Folk brings up a really point. We talked about the kidnapping ban. I don't think you get any kids in there. Like you show them Pac-Man, they're like, yeah, do you have any, what's a game the kids play? Morgan Freeman. No, what's a game the kids play? Fortnite. So you'd have to show them Fortnite to really kidnap kids. It'd be more like I tried to kidnap you. It'd be like, hey, Justin, you want to come play Sinistron? The Sinistar?
Sinistar. Yeah. Okay. But I think that's maybe... See, this is what I'm planning on doing. I was talking to my daughter about this. We're going to go to all the different arcades in our area. Sorry to rub that in because I know you don't have many in your area. But what I'm learning is every single one has like a different type of games in it. And I did go to this one in that Jordan Creek area a couple of years ago before the pandemic started. It was all CRTs. I mean, it's all like they got Popeye, they got Donkey Kong, they got Mario Versus. Like, I want to get to know that guy because I want to buy some of his cabinets, you know? Anyway, but I just don't see like Arcade OneUp. That's not a mass market. Like, how are you going to sell, unless they're selling the cabinets for like $5,000 or something like that, right?
Well, this is the question I'm asking. Like before we get to Arcade OneUp, let's focus on
Okay.
AtGames now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
first off, the community that's here might be a little bit biased, but say you walked into like a bowling alley and you saw that they had the AtGames Legends Pinball. Is that something that you'd be interested in playing? And I should have brought this up as well. I've actually got, I don't know if this has been shared publicly, but I've got a picture of what the actual AtGames Legends Pinball is going to look like when the consumer edition, the commercial edition, and I wanted to share that now and see if that is something that people would be interested in possibly playing.
Okay. You just have
You
to
have
figure
to,
out how to.
yeah, that's right.
You got to figure out how to.
Is new for me. I think I know how to do it.
Hey, he said, "Don't be mean to Justin, Michael." Now, this is what I don't understand. Is he saying, "Don't be mean, Justin, to Michael," or "Don't be mean to Justin, Michael"? The comma and the place of the two makes all the difference.
Maybe he's talking about a separate person that we shouldn't be mean to Justin Michael, who's another person that's not on the show altogether.
What is that?
So this apparently was the picture they shared with me of what is being planned right now for the Legends Pinball, and then there it is down there. I can't read it. ES, I think it's called ES. Yeah, Legends Pinball ES. And from what I'm being
it's the Spanish version, right?
Fragile. But anyways, this is the picture that they were kind enough to provide me, so you can see it has new art on the outside, and then also it looks like it's going to have the BitPixel HV included with every pinball machine, so it's going to come standard with that. And for those that don't know, that adds the basically the BitPixel toppers for all the included games on the table. I have one. I love it. It doesn't really add a lot unless you like that, but where it comes in and it's really exciting is if you hook it up to your PC, you can use it as an additional DMD. So you can just use it as big DMD on the screen. That's what I use it for. The other thing outside of the art being updated, take a look at the screen, and it looks like this is the new UI that they've been talking about that they're going to have for the machines when it gets out into the consumer market. So for everybody that doesn't like the UI on the AtGames Legends Pinball, it looks like this is more along the lines of easy mode and what people are going to be utilizing.
So what does ES stand for? I'm still stuck on this is the Spanish Legends Pinball.
No. I'm not familiar with the ES version. I don't think that's in the latest, because the version that we have here, because I tagged an announcement down in the description if anybody wants to go down and find it. So AtGame announces commercial edition Legends Pinball. So I don't know where the ES came from, but Wagner's Tech Talk was in the chat earlier. I don't know if he can chime in and let us know if he has any idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, what's it going to be like? It's $2,400. Is that right? 2,500.
Yeah, I think so. I let's see if I can see the price point here. It's going to have 149 digital pinball tables, 80% scale.
Extra special is what the ES stands for.
Is that what?
That's what JJ
someone's making a joke comment there.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of Zachariah pinball art on it. Charlie Chuck says Elite Series. I don't maybe
Elite Series.
But I was under the impression that the naming convention was going to be something along the lines of trying to basically utilize and show this to commercial distributors. So I'm interested
Hopefully
to know.
Placeholder name.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. I'll have to get some more feedback. But from what I'm understanding, that the idea is that this would go into possible secondary markets, and it might be something that sells there. Who knows? It could be anywhere from just you go to a water park, they might have this set up there. Do you know what I mean? Like places that wouldn't traditionally have official old arcade pinball cabinets or old arcade cabinets. So it's for
companies that can't afford the real stuff. Is that what it is? It's like,
well, isn't home arcade really for people who can't afford the real stuff?
I guess so, but I'm thinking if you're commercial business, right? So what are your options? You got to pay a lot more, right? Or you could buy like a pinball machine that's a home arcade, not home arcade, but a home version, which is the $5,000 one. But if you want to get even cheaper to $2,500, then you can get a digital commercial
Yeah.
So what's the difference? I didn't keep up with all this.
So I think I'll preface what you said because I'm going to try to make it nice and more fluffy. So when you say they can't afford, what you mean is maybe they're a little bit more risk adverse and want a lower risk proposition, a lower
Right.
entry point into this market.
Okay. Sure. That sounds good. I'm sorry if I offended anybody.
No,
or
you didn't
business
offend
owners.
anybody.
But but tell me this.
Yeah.
Tell me this. What makes the commercial version different than, like, if I'm a commercial business, why don't I just spend $900 on their home version and just put kind of like your Partycade scenario? You're like, that's not a commercial product, it's a home product, but I'm just gonna, ignore the rules of commercial and just throw, kind of like when someone's doing like a PlayStation in a commercial, like.
Well, I haven't figured that out yet. P-Dub's talked about it because they do have two commercial distributing partners right now. So I'm not 100% sure what the agreement or how it works, but I bring up the movie theater thing again because if it is a place that has a relationship possibly selling these kind of tables, maybe they're just adding as an option, again, at a lower risk, or for those people who can't afford a $15,000 pinball table, to try this out. And maybe this is in a competing industry through distributors, but not necessarily like you're not going to put it in a classic arcade, but maybe some place that has, redemption arcades. If they're looking at pinball tables, they have the option of the $10,000 Stern, or they have the option of the $2,500 digital pinball. And then that's a lower risk entry. So,
Right. So this is it, right? This is the
Legends Pinball ES. Yeah.
Legend. This is the Espanol version, which is good. Their UI is going to be able to be in Spanish or in English, which is really good. It's going to diversify their market. Really appreciate them doing that. I know language is really hard to do, but for them to do that, it really means they're thinking about their market. But it just says Legends Pinball here. Shouldn't it say Legends Pinball ES? Sorry, I'm going into product mode, going like, hey, wait, why is there inconsistency between the...
Well, see, if this was me, I'd go the extra step and I would have changed that front panel because they had a lot of critical feedback from just regular customers that the front panel wasn't aesthetically appealing. And a lot of people were very happy to add the arcade control panel or something there. So I would like to see them possibly redesign that front panel altogether. Especially if you're going to put it out there. It's got maybe a little bit too much Legends branding on it, but maybe that's their trade-off. Maybe the concept of this is they can sell a bunch of these, which they probably won't make a ton of money on, to commercial businesses. And there's a back end to this. This is a messed up plan. This is the 4D chess side. So if they sell a bunch of these to small businesses, kids see these while they're out at swimming pools and shit like that, and they remember exactly what it looks like and how it looks, and then they see they can go to Sam's Club and pick up a regular one for $600. Maybe that's it. This is a reverse hook.
A reverse hook. I see. No. I think it's okay. This is it. So you sell the home version, and the UI is impossible to commercialize, right? So then you sell that same version, but with a different firmware that has the easy mode with a commercialized front end, $2,500, and then you have commercial quality design and components, and then you get built in, like, what is it, for 3 years, you get this pinball volumes, 12 future pinball volumes within 3 years, right? So you're kind of like 3 years of prepaid ArcadeNet subscription. You get 12 months of prepaid new pinball tournament volumes and calendar years of 2022 to 2024. So there's just like throwing in all of their same things that they sell to the user, to the home user, and then you get 3-year prepaid warranty. So the prepaid warranty for a commercial establishment, that probably would make people feel better.
Oh yeah,
that's an upsell. Actually, you should probably start with that. Be like, this is the commercial version that has 3-year warranty for your business.
I'm interested to see if there's a market for it, and I encourage people to look into it. If you're a small business owner, again, the upside is it's a lowered risk. But I'm going to go in a different direction now, because I brought this up because people are already going out there and buying Arcade OneUp cabinets and putting them in their established business. Now, some people, there we go. P-Dub's Arcade Loft wants to bring up a point. The distributor game room guys is obviously increasing the price, so they make a profit on top of the commercial license. It's way more expensive than a home license.
This is the weird part, though. Nobody cares. No, all the businesses that would buy this wouldn't care about violating the commercial license, right?
Maybe not.
You just showed, well, according to you, people don't mind putting partycades in an arcade, which is questionable to the commercial license, but no one cares.
So it's question. We'll bring that up. So let's move on to the Arcade OneUp sign. One of the downfalls with it right now, a lot of people brought it up. Charlie Chuck and also Goofy Foot brought it up. If someone puts an Arcade OneUp cabinet in an arcade or a bar or something like that now, let's be honest, these are still toys. They're high priced and to some degree, I think high quality, but other people would argue toys. So they're not meant for the rigors of, continuous play. They're not meant for the rigors of the arcade hardships. So there's a very good possibility that stuff's going to start breaking down pretty quickly. Buttons, sticks, maybe degradation of the machine in other areas. So there's that issue. But Arcade OneUp's coming out with a new product now, which is a Pro line that have better quality, better enhanced buttons, sticks, maybe a little bit more durable to the rigors of commercial use.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, even what's Scott Backrat, he was saying, like, so when you go to a gym, that, treadmill that you're on, that's a $3,000 treadmill, maybe more, $10,000, right? It's a commercial treadmill used for these treadmill operators. Very expensive, can handle tons of wear, little warranty. He's like, but you go to Walmart. This was the original pitch, right? This is his first pitch. You go to Walmart, you can pick up a treadmill for $300 or $700. You go to Sears, right? And that's like a treadmill for your home that you're only going to use, well, let's just face it, you're probably not going to use it very much. But maybe like once a week, maybe twice a week. Even if you did it daily, you're only going to do it for 30 months or for 30 minutes or something. Whereas at a commercial establishment, at a gym, that treadmill is being used constantly.
Yeah.
So you go to that same pattern and say, do you think Arcade OneUp's Pro version, which is not designed for a commercial establishment, it's designed for a home, and it's just maybe better. We don't know. Maybe it's better quality. We don't know. Like P-Dubs, when he did his XL cabinet, I'm wondering, like, is the wood any thicker, or is that the same wood that's in the Big Blue?
It's the same wood.
It's the same wood, right?
Yeah.
So to support a 19-inch screen,
whoa. I don't think we can talk about wood without talking to Endless OneUp. Let's pause this. Ask Endless OneUp his comments on wood, and then
okay. All right. We'll circle back when Endless OneUp tells us how it works. Again, I come back to that original question of, for $2,500, is it the same pinball machine for Legends Arcade? And you're just getting the warranty, and then you're getting the software, and you still don't get a coin door that works. You probably don't get any API to be able to swipe a card. So it's really not a commercial. It's a free play. It's free play, right?
Yeah. No, I believe they are set up for redemption ticket taking, or they can be easily modified for redemption ticket taking.
I mean, it says
AtGames Legends Pinball.
Coin door is non-operational. Non-operational.
The concept was that these would be set up for redemption.
Well, anything can be set up for redemption, right?
Yeah.
I guess if you're gonna, arcade owners are gonna take their own redemption system. I mean, everything's going digital these days. There's fewer places that are doing actual coin operated. Most of the ones in my area are the swipe.
So I will ask you a question, because you like regular arcades just as much as I do. Like, if I had my choice, I'd have a room full of regular arcade cabinets. I just don't have that possibility. Does it hurt you a little bit when you go into a real arcade, or you go into one of these places and you see the coin mechanism completely ripped out, and they have these swipers and redemption token machines thrown in there?
I have an answer to this.
Yep.
So I was at the auction recently, and I'm talking to this arcade owner from Minnesota, and he's like, hey, that new arcade that you went to, did it have the swiper? I was like, yeah, it did have the swiper. He's like, smart. He's like, I went to this other arcade, they have the swiper. And I was like, why are they doing that? 40% increase in sales. That's why they go to swipe. It pays for itself in no time. The guy was telling me. He was saying the system is set up where all machines have a screen on it that tell you how many points the game costs. And you can go into the admin system, which is available on like this website you go to, and you can reprogram it anytime. You can schedule, I'm going to have a party. Everything's free play. You can be like, I'm going to set it where there's a happy hour. So during this time, you can get, you can pay less, you know, and get more points. And all the machines are half cost. Like, you can do whatever you want. And he said the reason why they make more money, it's confusing. And so you pay $5 for 100 points, and you want to play pinball, and it's 7 points, and it's I tried it. I went there this weekend. All of us got like $10 in tokens, and we essentially had change left over that we couldn't use because there was no game that would take the remainder, right? Unless we bundled our cards together. But also, it's so easy to be like, oh wow, that was a lot of fun. Let me go spend another $10. But you didn't realize you only played like 5 games.
Yeah. But from a collector standpoint is what I was asking. When you see them changing it.
I don't know. After hearing that, I was like, I get it. They're trying to make some money.
So you're just saying like, okay, for the collection. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
The reason why I'm saying is because I'm all like, I think I want to own an arcade one day, and I'm totally using the swipers.
Yeah, I've got a buddy, Chris, that I've known for a long time, and he's always been. He had a real arcade in his home, like even when he had this little tiny 1-bedroom apartment, and he had like 2 arcade machines in there. It was crazy. So now he's the only real operator we have here in the province. He's going around and he's got classic pinball machines and arcade machines all around little spots, but there's no one spot. So he's got there's a place called the Geek Bar down by where my wife works, but because of COVID, I haven't got in there. He's got like 4 or 5 pinball tables. What breaks my heart though is that he's gotten really fascinated with the really old tables recently. So he's getting rid of all his like modern tables. Like he's got like Bram Stoker's Dracula, right? He's getting rid of that, and he's bringing in like Black Hole, which I love, and Ghost House, good choices. But he's even going back farther than that and getting like more of the less advanced tables. And I'm like, you got to be killing me. You're the only outlet I have here to do any of this stuff, and you're selling it all to Ontario and bringing in stuff I don't want to play.
Man, that could break my heart. But what do you guys think in the chat? Like, let's go back to that. I think it's a good question. I'd love to know like the preference that people enjoy at arcades, right? Do you like coin operated? What are the other options like?
Free play, 15
free play.
Bucks. Yeah.
So yeah, another one, they do like $10. It's basically $10 all day. They say $10 you can play free play all day.
You have to offset that with a bar though. You have to offset that with a bar and restaurant.
I think I'm getting a good deal because this one's $10 and they just have like soda and like cotton candy. That's it. Maybe if you're lucky, they'll make you a pizza. And I was like, we'll make you a pizza. And I was like, hey, what type of pizza do you have? And they're like, we just order it. Delivery. Yeah. We just do it for you.
What kind of pizza do you have? Domino's.
That's right. But it's a small little arcade, you know? Anyway.
Yeah, I would. That's the dream, right? Like, I don't necessarily want to be the guy there, like sitting up, like pumping out the quarters to people, you know. But I would like to be the owner. I would love to, you know, I think I shared with you, was it a pinball documentary? They Full Tilt, and I'm going to Ottawa possibly in June. So I'm going to actually get to go to this place. And the guy talked about it. He had a pretty successful business, pretty successful life, always collected pinball cabinets and arcades and stuff. And then he retired. And what he did with his retirement was he just put all this stuff into commercial use, and now he just hangs out in an arcade all day. That sounds like a pretty good way to spend your time, especially when you're not as worried about your bills.
That's what I'm gonna do. I don't know about you.
I don't know what I'm gonna do either. I think I'm gonna work till I'm dead. Coin operated, Sterling Hall says, and I know why you say that, Sterling. It's that classic feeling. There's nothing like it. Quarters on the glass. I think there's different waves what people want to do. Anyways, back to the Arcade OneUp side.
Yeah.
So people are already buying Arcade OneUps. They're putting them in B&Es. They're putting them in the back of vans. Do you see people transferring more to the Pro cabinets and the XL cabinets now that Arcade OneUp is in that direction? Do you think that when they're doing the 3/4 cabs, even at the 3/4 cabs, they realize that people are still going to see them and say, oh, they're awfully small. But the Pro and XL opens up a new line where maybe this is something that you could be more proud of having in your establishment. Maybe this opens up a new line of business for Arcade OneUp, not necessarily going directly into the actual consumer market, but kind of the secondary way that they've already been doing.
Oh, secondary way, that's pretty interesting, because if no one cares about the commercial license, and there's some companies that are like that. They're like, there's no economics in taking it down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, it literally, like when I did anti-piracy, it was visibly through analytics, you could see like piracy was like hurting you, where you could invest $10 million a year in lawyers trying to take it down, and you would get a benefit out of it. Right.
Yeah.
It was actually like just like hiring help, and you make more money. That's how business works. But if you're like, yeah, like it's out there, but it's hurting us a little bit, but is it really? You know what I mean? You know, how much would it cost to fix it? You know, and I remember I worked in a fraud department, and we literally did what was called Resin Con, is what they called it. So it was residential content in commercial establishment, and the content creators, they want their money if it's in a hospital, right? Like they want, how many eyes does the fire department say can be in that room? We're going to calculate our commercial cost based on that, not just a home. But yeah, every year there would be a cost analysis of how many people are doing Resin Con and what's the benefit analysis. And it was really close to be like, we're splitting up accounts and making them commercial, but they're like just canceling, because they're like, hey, you used to pay $100 for cable, now you have to pay $1,000 a month. Oh, we got caught, canceled. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like they didn't stick. It's not like we gained sales, you know? So it was tough.
We've got a $4.99 super chat here from Console Fanboy. 3/4 was just testing the market. XL was always the goal.
It's an interesting theory. Going on to that, I think it is what it is. You could say the same argument. Let me ask you this, Mike. Is everyone who bought a Partycade going to sell their Partycade and then go get the 3/4 scale?
No.
Everyone who bought a Countercade going to sell their Countercades to get a Partycade? You know what I mean?
No.
I think it's the same answer. It's like there's some people that are going to only get XL, and there's some people that are only going to get a Countercade. And there's some people that want a game room, and they're going to... I've read comments. I know you've read comments that are like, don't know what to do, because once I buy an XL, my room's going to look funny.
Want all of them to match that. I'm kind of in the same space now, because like one of my downfalls where I didn't want to buy and then I didn't want to keep the sit down outrun was it looks so weird next to all the other cabinets sitting there on the floor as this like tiny arcade, right? So now I have a stand-up one that felt more along the lines of what the size was, but then I go out and get Big Blue, then I go out and get Tron, then I go out and get Terminator 2, and they're so much bigger than the other arcades. I'm right back there now, and I haven't even entered into the XL or Pro market. So yeah, I totally understand.
It's so weird though, because like, first of all, this is really funny. Outrun C was the test.
Couchcade
was the goal. That's funny, Tim. Very good. But okay, so I had some friends over, and they were playing. We had them come over so they could play the Road Blasters that I have.
Yeah.
And so my buddy Jason comes over, and he's like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." And he's trying to remember, like, did I play Road Blasters? I'm like, I know you've played Road Blasters, but he's like, it doesn't look familiar. He sits down, he starts playing. He's like, oh my God, yes. I love this game. It all came back to him, right? And so he plays for a while, and he kind of gets up, and we're chatting, and we're kind of leaning over towards Zaxxon, some of the real arcades, the taller arcades. And his son, who's like 10, sits down Road Blasters. He's just, it fits him.
Yeah.
And I'm telling them about how like I have an opportunity maybe to like trade it for a different Road Blasters that's not a sit down. And the kids are like, no, do not get rid of the sit down. You know why? It's the same thing with your daughter, man.
Yeah, we
It's
talked
like,
about this. Yeah.
it fits the kids, right?
Yeah, my daughter loved sit down outrun. It was her favorite thing in the world. The stand up, she couldn't be bothered with it. She's like, no, because she's got to get up on a stool, then she can't reach the pedals.
So I think if you have children that are in that range, I was thinking about it because all my cousins, you know, like my siblings, they have kids, and some of them are shorter kids, right? And some of them are taller kids. You know, it's like puberty hits a little bit later, or some of them are just really short kids. And when they come over, the shorter ones that are 10, they're shorter 10-year-olds. They come over the 3/4 scale. They're not really if I take the riser off, oh my gosh. So, and that happened. I had a Pac-Man 60-in-1 Arcade OneUp, and it has no riser. It was just, and they were going, I want to play this one. I want to play this one. I want to play. And I'm like, why do you want to play that one? It's because they could reach the controls comfortably.
And that's the argument for the risers in the first place, is that you can adjust it so a kid can play it when they want. And then you can put it on a riser when an adult wants to play it. I get it. But we're moving away from that now with the XL.
It's because our kids are growing up.
I don't think that's why. I think Arcade OneUp was like, we're going to sell a bunch of these to kids. And by kids, we mean 40-year-old men. Yeah, it's all 40-year-old men. So we should just make them bigger now.
Yeah. Well, I just think maybe they are testing the market. Like, you know, it's kind of like their average consumer, 40, 50-year-old, how old are their kids? It probably ranges. Some of their, like P-Dubs, right? His kids are all grown up. Does he have does he have like a 10-year-old? I don't think he has a 10-year-old.
No, P-Dub's son is in his 20s. So, I mean, like. God.
But you're going to have a son that's like a week old.
Almost had it this morning.
Right. Same age as P-Dubs, right? So it's a range.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so last thing I will say is the idea of Arcade OneUp possibly getting into real cabs. It just makes me laugh a little bit, chuckle, chortle, because of all the people that are so down on Arcade OneUp saying, why would you want to play them? They're not real arcades. But what if they made a commercial product that actually went out in arcades? What would those same people say then? Their whole world would crumble down. Everything.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You kind of wish that would happen, don't you?
just for kicks. I want to see the world burn.
So what would that look like? So would Arcade OneUp be trying to compete with ICE then?
I don't think Arcade OneUp ever do it. I think Arcade OneUp knows that they'd be stepping on toes of partners, because even though I think they're leveraged the best to transition to the commercial market because they have the licenses, and what any other company that goes out there, except for like Pixel Bash, doesn't have, is they're doing a really good job of recreating the original arcade. And if they can offer a more cost-effective version where some people can't maybe find it for a commercial business, I think that's a no-brainer. But the thing is, then if they do that, how do they go back to their partners like Raw Thrills, who they do partner with, and say, hey, now we're in competition. Can we still work together? Obviously not.
There's another way to go about it, though. It's the Arcade OneUp just white labels some commercial product as an Arcade OneUp. They are the license fulfiller. I'll give you an example. I'll share my screen. Let me paint this picture for you. Why don't you do the super chat?
Yeah, super chat first. Goofyfoot, our good friend, OneUp just needs to redesign the riser so it's in line with the rest of the cabinet. That's a great point. I know Charlie Chuck, who's here in the comments, has been asking for that for years. It's not so much that he wanted to get rid of the riser, so much as he just wanted it to be inconspicuous. Thank you for the super chat, Goofyfoot.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, we'll use Ice as an example. I noticed that I played this this weekend. It was a lot of fun. Have you played this Centipede one?
No.
So it's really cool. Hold on a second. Yeah, anyone in the chat, hit one if you've played this. So there's two buttons on each side. There's a joystick, and it's this big screen. You stand in front of it. You're playing Centipede. It's all basically the same rules. I don't know Centipede well enough to recognize if there was a difference anyway, but it's all new graphics. And then you got two buttons there. And when I got to the big boss guy, this big boss guy came out. I'm just like with both big buttons, like flapping my hands because the buttons are really big. It was a lot of fun. So imagine if Arcade OneUp's like, hey, we work with Atari, or maybe it's Pac-Man, right? And they come up with something like this, but it's more like, it's not really Arcade OneUp doing it. It's like the same manufacturer that fulfills the ice,
Gotcha.
but
Yeah.
it says Arcade OneUp on it. And so all the people, instead of saying ice right there, it says Arcade OneUp.
Yeah.
They'd use a different title, that it's not directly competing with ice. And then when you go, that's it. When you go to the arcade, you see Arcade OneUp, and you're like, hey, brand recognition. I should buy that at Walmart.
Justin, can we bring this back up? And is there any way to zoom in? Because
I was trying to.
Are they using trackballs on this or not?
No, it's a joystick.
Oh, that's a nightmare. Why would you want to play Centipede with a joystick?
I mean, it's not the original Centipede. It's a completely different digital version of Centipede. Like, they completely redesigned it.
I don't like that. I don't care for it.
It's like probably like a 49 way it's like optical. Like, you can go in like any direction. You're like moving really fast, and okay, you don't like it.
I don't like that.
They also have Galaga, and that was fun. Space Invaders with the guns that shoot. It's not the original controls. There's actually like things that you shoot. You've seen that?
I've seen that one. Yeah, I know about that one.
This is the game. This is what it looks like.
What in God's name is that?
It's good, dude. You gotta try it.
Well, what I think they're trying to accomplish with that is that's a good mix between something that, grandparents, because we're at that point now, grandparents are probably there with their grandkids and saying, I remember being in the 80s, being in the arcades, playing the original Centipede. So it's something that, what's the term? It bridges the gap between their nostalgia and what kids will enjoy nowadays. So it's Centipede, but Flappy Bird.
Yeah, they have like a Flappy Bird one as well, right?
Yeah.
Or what if they, whatever, same thing here, brand recognition. And it's probably like a white label. So it's not really them doing it. It's this allowing another company to use their brand to promote their product. So what if, forget ice for a second, we're just using them to illustrate with pictures. But imagine there's a company that's out there already. Let's say they want to build like, like a coffee table digital game board thing that like it's not Arcade OneUp, but it's a company like ThinkUp or something like that. And they want to build it, but they know that their name ThinkUp is not popular, but there's this other company they work with really closely, and you're like friends with the CEO. And you're like, hey, is there a way you could promote it? Something like that. And then like it has the Arcade OneUp name, but it's totally like ThinkUp doing it directly. And you could even sell it on their website and use their same retailers.
So you just went into a realm where I think we've got past the idea of speculation. And it's like you're quoting an actual roadmap to us piece by piece.
That's right. But I think it was Coleco was the same thing. It was like, or those little tiny little consoles. That was some other company being like, hey, we have this product that we're going to manufacture and no one's going to buy it because no one knows who we are. In fact, in the case of Coleco, we did a Kickstarter and no one bought it.
Yeah.
But if you slap the Arcade OneUp name on it, your marketing, your branding could get it sold.
Gotcha. So Bill's Retro Gaming Show, thank you so much for the comment, but I just want to be clear. We don't use the word divorce around here. It just hits too close to home.
What's the word? Is it like entangled or something?
No, we won't use that. So I also do want to take a time out to say thank you again to Ewin Racing for sending me this beautiful golden chair. So I'm going to be doing a review on that soon. Again, they sent it to me. This is not a sponsored video or anything, but just want to show you my gold chair again. I love it. B-Kong brought it up in the comments. That's why.
Yeah, I saw it.
It's gold. I love gold. I gotta get that clip from Gold Member. Bring it in from now on. I love gold.
You gotta put that in your intro.
So we're getting short on time, but I did want to transition now because again, I do see. I'll finish up this comment this way. When AtGames first announced their ES, or what it was called, Operators Edition or the Commercial Edition, originally I didn't really see who would buy it, but I had a very narrow mindset of where it would go. I just didn't think it'd survive in the commercial arcade business. But I do think there's a market for it, and I think that a lot of the people here in this chat and a lot of people, we're used to real arcade cabinets and Arcade OneUps, and there's a lot of nostalgia for everything looking the way it should. But maybe this is something that does have a place in a different market. Maybe there is something out there for it. It's $2,500. It's lower risk compared to an original pinball table. I think there's a market for it. Arcade OneUp, I think there'd be a bigger market for it, but I think Arcade OneUp don't really want the headache that comes with it, and they're just happy making their own shit. And if people want to go out and buy them for like restaurants, and they want to buy them for bed and breakfasts and shit like that, Arcade OneUp looks at it this way. That's more brand recognition for us and more publicity and advertising. We're fine with them using it in that way. We'll just take it for what it is.
All right, so everybody in the chat, that's great, Mike. I think that's a great summary of everything that's going on. All those people in the chat, let's see if you are right, because we discovered what the ES stands for. Okay?
We have? Okay.
Yeah. It's short for AtGames. AtGames. Right there. That's where the ES comes from. Legends Pinball, it's like the word AtGames was actually printed up here, and then they ran out of room, so they put Legends Pinball over it, but they left the ES from AtGames.
I know I probably already have the answer somewhere. It's just I don't have time to look it up live. But
they redesigned the entire UI in ECMAScript. ES. It's a front-end design. It's all JavaScript or ECMAScript.
Moving on. So Arcade OneUp may potentially be coming out with a Sega-branded Arcade OneUp cabinet. And before everybody goes nuts, obviously there is Sonic arcade titles. We've got the Sonic one that you went into great detail talking about that was the Japan only, I do believe. It wasn't released in North America. Right. Sega Sonic, right? So there's also Sonic the Fighters, which was another arcade release. That did come out here in North America, correct?
Right.
Yeah. So more than like the Arcade OneUp, I mean, they're not going to release, they have no history of releasing arcade cabinets that have nothing to do with arcades. So it's probably going to be one of those cabinets, right?
Right. They've always said like the marquee title's going to be an arcade.
Yeah.
Right. But they may throw in console games unless they're reneging on that, right? Or whatever.
But I think this is why I wanted to bring this up. I think the focus on this was never about bringing Sonic the Fighters or Sega Sonic to the market. It's all about the brand on this. And is there a future for Arcade OneUp to do more of this stuff? Do they think that they're never going to get mainstream appeal with their current business model of just, bringing out an arcade cabinet? Do they have to do something that maybe crosses interests, crosses markets, crosses what's the term?
Demographics?
Crosses demographics. Consumer demographics. That's the term.
Maybe. I think they have to do it.
Why?
Okay, so I think it's possible that they have no choice sometimes. It's like Pac-Man. You're like, you have to do 13 Pac-Mans, Namco. And sure, you can have Time Crisis, but you gotta do 13 Pac-Mans.
I understand what you're saying now. So you think part of the partnership with Sonic is we need to get a Sonic one of these out there?
Yeah. There's some executive at Sega, or maybe it's not even like Sega. It's the part of Sega that handles their licenses, and they have goals, and they're like, okay, sure. Okay, yes, John, I hear you, John. You keep on saying how you want Virtual Fighter and you want that. Sure, we'll totally invest the $10 million or $2 million that you need to build a Model 2 emulator. But first, we want our money back on the investment we made with you already to develop. Yeah. We didn't give you the M2 console port. You had to, do, the what is it called? The System 32 emulation for arcade port. We haven't made our money back on that yet. Put out more arcades. And we want Sonic. Because Sonic sells.
I just feel dirty about it. I feel dirty about it.
John was here. He's like, this cab is not for you. It's some executive at Sega.
I get that. I get that. But what concerns me about it is they had a pretty distinct roadmap of doing classic arcade games. And this being I guess a niche hobby, but I guess it does have to expand for that reason that you're mentioning, because they have to make the company happy, because the company is going to put money into it. And I would guess there's also some what's the word? Some pressure from the retailers as well. So, because I know I've had conversations with people in the sphere, and they talk about certain arcade cabinets, and they're like, "Will people know about it?" Because they have to sell it to them. It's back to the Final Fight conversation, right? Arcade OneUp's making a Final Fight. Walmart's like, "We don't know what that is."
You're like, hey, Sonic. Yeah, we make a lot of money on Sonic. They're like, let's do a search real quick for how much money we've made off the Sonic branding. Oh, that's a big number. Yes,
Yeah.
do a Sonic. They think differently. Apple. It's their slogan.
I get it sometimes because like I don't need to buy every cabinet. I've been trying to tell myself this. So not every cabinet that Arcade OneUp releases necessarily has to be something that I'm interested in. So I have no problem with them selling certain cabinets that are cash cow cabinets that are going to fund more passion projects that I'd be more interested in. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, dude. I think when they come out with it, there was this theory that I was talking to Nick last night on the show, and we were riffing back and forth this idea that they might give us more than we think. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's a piece of the puzzle that we don't understand, but when they announce it, it will be it will be understood. They've done that a few times. Yeah. Or it's like even the Big Blue came out and we hated it. We looked at it, but the first time we saw the real version of Big Blue, like a real photograph, it made a lot more sense.
I still question that. I think John D has some way of Jedi mind tricking all of us. I think the cab is still ugly. It's just John D did this.
Yeah, well, maybe he'll Jedi mind trick us, and all of us will. It's like 6 months from now, Michael B will be all like, "Hold on, let me see if I can do it." Michael B, I guess you have to see me at the same time to do the gesture. He's like, "I got it. It's a Sonic." It's like I didn't want to do it.
I will tell you.
Jedi mind trick.
I've learned the lesson not to say never because of what happened with Tron, but it would be very, very shocking to me that if I bought a Sonic cabinet, very shocking.
Yeah, I'll have to wait and see what it looks like. There's what if it's a Mega Play? What if it's that?
That's still not something I want. Like even if they had a deal with Nintendo and they came out with a Play Choice 10, that's not something I would want. I want to play a Nintendo.
What if it had Robotron on
it? Well, no, because again, I want Robotron to be Robotron.
Okay, it's Robotron, but it has Sega Sonic on it too.
If it has the Robotron art and plays Robotron, I don't really care what else it has on it. I'm just going to play Robotron. So at that point, I don't really care.
That's fair.
But the reason why I wanted to bring this up, I didn't want to get into a big debate about Sonic specifically, because I think that's been talked about enough.
Sure.
But is there a possibility that this is the first of many projects much like this?
So what is the project that they're doing? Let's generalize it for me.
So they're working with Sega. Sega wants Sonic. They think that Sonic could appeal to more of a mass market. So if they are releasing a Sega Sonic cab or even a Sonic the Fighters cab, they're really trying to shoehorn the Sonic brand onto an Arcade OneUp cabinet. Is it possible that they're going to try to shoehorn other brands much like this?
They did it with Pac-Man.
Well, no, Pac-Man is the king of arcades. Pac-Man is... You guess. How many have you bought?
That's different. My mom likes Pac-Man, and I have a weird relationship with my mom, so I buy Pac-Mans to make myself feel better.
All right, I won't go there, but you understand what I mean. Like, I
understand what you mean.
If there's something that doesn't make sense, will they go to the extreme, like as it appears in this case, that they're going to make it work?
It sounds like they're going to extremes. Yes, I agree with that. Well, I mean, they're just leaks. Who knows? We don't know. There's a lot of speculation. There is something that's recently been, like, we talked about. I don't know if any audience member knows about it because you and I talked about it, but I don't think on any show we said it or got it out there. And that was people were saying that it's just the Mega Man collection, but with Sonic games on it. Like, why stop flipping out? Or that it's, remember Glenn said it's the Babycade.
Well, see, we got confirmation from Big Reese, who
Right.
actually reached out to me when we were doing Super Game Room Dudes on Friday, and he said, no, it's a 3/4 scale arcade.
Yeah.
The price is the exact same as Double Dragon.
Right.
Yeah.
So it really points to like they're coming out with Double Dragon and they're coming out with Sonic, and it's a 3/4 scale price range. So if you go, they're gonna, because if they're like, hey, we don't like that. That was my thought. It's a very simple thought. There's only so many different arcade emulation on Sega that Arcade OneUp can do. There's the Sega emulation they already have,
yeah,
right? That has Sega Sonic on it, and then there's the one we want, which is the Time Crisis Virtual Fighter. Not Time Crisis. I'm trying to think of the House of the Dead, the other shooter, and it just doesn't make sense that they would. And there's no Sonic games on that, right? So it's like Sega Sonic is that, and then Genesis emulation's been long done commercially anyway. M2 has that emulator from Sega, and they probably be like, here's the M2 emulator. You just got to pay them a fee or whatever.
Arcade OneUp's actually already worked with M2.
They did?
On the Outrun Cab.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Makes sense, because M2 has the commercialized Sega emulator.
Yep.
There it is.
So what other titles could they do that with? What other shoehorn titles are out there that they could work with?
I don't think it's Sonic the Fighters, because Sonic the Fighters is not...
No. I'm not talking about Sonic now.
Okay.
I'm talking about after Sonic's dead and gone, because I do think it'll die. After Sonic's dead and gone, what could be next in this field? Like, if this is just the beginning, what other arcades could we see brought out there? I've got one right away with a new partner they have.
A new partner? A more recent partner?
Well, in the last couple of years, yeah.
Okay. Why don't you start first, because I'm drawing blanks right now.
So they've recently started working with Konami, very popular Konami game that they may want to get on their system, and we may see some console ports, and they think does have cross appeal, might be Castlevania. So they would shoehorn Haunted Castle onto an arcade cabinet to say we have a Castlevania cabinet.
I wonder if that would sell better than Sonic. Like, it's more targeted. Do you know what I mean? Where Sonic is more broad. You're hoping that the broad IP will be seen by millions of people, but a very small percentage will be like, yes, I want that. Whereas Castlevania, I think, is more of there's a diehard fan base that's very targeted, and they'll be like, yeah, I'd buy anything. That's kind of like Terminator 2 model, I think. There's only so many people that want a big poster of Arnold. You're one of them. I shouldn't make fun of those people because I'm talking to one right now.
It's not a tumor, Justin.
But what else? So you got Konami.
I'm just throwing Konami out there. They could do that with Haunted Castle, potentially. It's not a title that arcade... And I'm going to preface this again. What is a title that, honestly, in your wildest dreams, you never see Arcade OneUp making, but maybe it would be the marquee on a game on a cabinet because they have to shoehorn it to get another title working. Like, this is a first for me, but I'm thinking it could be the first of many.
So, when you say shoehorn, are you saying the console game is the popular one? And
yes, but if Arcade OneUp has it, so they have to do an arcade cabinet. Like, in what world would we get a Sega Sonic Arcade OneUp cabinet? Like, honestly, if nothing else factored in. Never, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Other big titles, Crash, I don't know, from Sony, but that's getting into more of a higher... you probably want something more in the, like, 80s and 90s, but a lot of 80s and 90s big IPs are arcades, and then Nintendo owns a lot of them. They're never going to get those.
I'll throw out IP for you, see if we can figure something out. Maybe there's some kind of arcade cabinet that makes sense. Disney.
Shoehorn in Aladdin and Lion King?
Well, I'm not talking about the console games. Is there an arcade? Is there an arcade game that makes sense where you could build it all into a Disney cabinet?
Tron?
Tron would have been the one. Tron would have been the one I suggested. That's what I went to right away.
Yeah. Let's see. Marvel, Spider-Man. You got I'm thinking of the big popular IP games. I mean, it was based on their movie runs, like right,
Yeah.
Aladdin and Little Mermaid. But that's what freaking Legends Ultimate did. They threw those Disney Sega titles on there. Then you got Star Wars. I mean, maybe you come out with a Star Wars cabinet, but those arcade Star Wars cabinets is what everyone wants. No one wants the Sega, Return of the Jedi. I guess you could throw it in, but you got to be like, you know, unlock the console games and then they show up.
Yeah, I don't know. This might be a one and done. That's the thing. I just wanted to have the conversation. Is there anything else that could come out in this nature? And the one that really shot up was maybe Castlevania. I mean, we're going to see, like, I'd say Contra, but like Contra did have its day in the sun in the arcade, and there are fans of it, despite it being the inferior game compared to the console port. Gotta watch out. There's some rabid fans out there.
Yeah. See, I can't. The other thing about Sonic is, like, if you look at that, that's like coming back in popularity through the movies.
I know.
So that makes sense. But then, like, if you start hunting through other titles, it's like, what's something that's a cult classic? And I just can't find it. So maybe it is a one and done.
Maybe it's a one and done. Maybe it's nothing to be concerned about. Everybody's panicking that, or maybe I'm just panicking that this could possibly be.
Oh, wait. Are you thinking we're going to get saturated with basically cabs you never want to buy ever? Because is this what he meant? What's his name? Bashar, when he was saying, like, we've already done all the greatest hits of all time in arcade. We got to start thinking outside the box. So we're going to give you Sega Sonic and then throw up Genesis in there.
I think they have to expand their fan base, and I think they also have to sell the retailers. So I question sometimes whether or not us, the hardcore fans who want very specific arcade titles, like, do you think you're ever going to get a Road Blasters from Arcade OneUp?
It's Atari.
Forget about Atari. Who's gonna sell it? Like, is there a retailer that's going to sell a Road Blasters? Be like, yeah, totally know what that is. Exactly.
No.
So
I mean, they could do it so easy. It's got the freaking same. You just, like, you got the Star Wars. Just put the Atari Road Blasters over it, and you're done. But it doesn't have the mass appeal.
Yeah. So then when I hear Arcade OneUp talk about it, like, they'll talk about their cabs, like, they talk about, will people buy it? Will mainstream people buy it? Will they be interested? And a lot of times they go to, well, is it a console game people remember? Does it have some kind of appeal outside that? I think I'm concerned sometimes that maybe the emphasis on recreating classic arcades will become less and maybe shift more to what's popular. It's like YouTubers. Like, there was a big trend there a while ago that YouTubers would make in the retro game scene. Let's say, for example, there was a big trend that people would cover specific games based on something coming out. Like when Man of Steel came out in theaters, for some reason, everybody started covering Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and Nintendo Superman games. So will Arcade OneUp kind of follow the leader with world events in terms of the games they come out with, instead of just having a consistent roadmap of classic arcade games?
That's what I'm telling you. Will Smith cabinet is totally coming, right? It's a Street Fighter port. Like, they did it with Shaq. Why can't they do that with Will Smith, right?
Yeah.
It's a Batman and Robin game with Will Smith and Chris Rock. Boom.
Do you see this comment?
What's that? I heard that the marketing dude pushed Robotron to 2025 so they could do Sonic.
That son of a gun.
I think they would do, going back to Road Blasters, I think they would do a pole position Namco before they would do an Atari Road Blasters. Because although Road Blasters is a better game than pole position, the pole position has way more mass appeal.
Yeah, well, does it have mass appeal, or does it have mass appeal among classic arcade collectors?
Classic arcade collectors,
yeah.
But it's a weird thing. The whole thing, like, even the conversation about Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is an interesting one, because it's a cult classic game, it's kind of like there's tons of movies like Strange Brew. Remember, you love that movie, right? Strange Brew. Like,
Do you assume that because I'm Canadian?
no, because you were born in 81. Not
Well,
everything has to be like I'm being, offensive to your culture. It has to be you're the same age as me, and
yes,
you totally love Strange Brew like the rest of us. Except for
Yes.
no one did like when the movie came out, but it like built an audience over time,
I understand what you mean now. It
That's
becomes
what I'm
called
talking
classic afterwards. Yeah.
Right. So I think sometimes IP holders discover they didn't even know how big it was. So something like a Road Blasters may be like a super popular game, but they don't even know how well it would succeed. A Final Fight's a great one. Retailers have no clue what it is. It's some people think it's the best arcade game of all time. It's like a part of the beat 'em up history. It's like the first one to break the mold, right?
They argue that it's one of the best beat 'em ups of all time.
Right.
But I mean, like, I don't know where I'd rank it in Capcom beat 'em ups alone, let alone beat 'em ups of all time. I really liked it.
Yeah, it's a good game.
It's no Bad Dudes.
Oh, jeez. What's the other one? The sequel?
Oh, Two Crude Dudes. That's
Two
terrible.
Crude Dudes. Yeah.
Two Crude Dudes is terrible.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't want to belabor the point. I just find it interesting that they're going this direction. And I guess as long as it's something that's not a precursor to future direction of the company, and more so, guys, it's a one-off, try to make a little bit of money so we can make you Dragon Slayer and have a second screen in it.
I think this is what Mike is trying to say. Everybody just calm down. It's gonna be okay.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Everything's gonna be okay.
Oh.
Everything's gonna be all right. Rockabye.
What do you got? Reverb and
Rockabye. Yeah, I do.
What about a cabinet dedicated to Dragon Ball Z? There you go.
Okay.
Plenty of old console games to pull from, but was there ever an arcade game?
That's the point. He's making the point.
Yeah.
He's going to shoehorn in a Dragon Ball Z game, to get it hyped, because there's a cult following for Dragon Ball Z for sure.
So I'm going to go in a different direction on this. If you wanted something just with art on it, why wouldn't you just buy a multicade and just put some rando art on it? Like, do you know what I mean?
Are you playing devil's advocate now?
Yeah, I am. But like, if you're going to do something that doesn't have some kind of classic arcade tie-in, we're not buying a recreation. Why not just buy a multicade and get like just whatever art you want on it?
What if that is what Sega Sonic is? Because what's the artwork for a Sega Sonic? It's totally going to be a mashup of Sonic.
Yeah. You just blew my mind.
Maybe Sega Sonic is the first thing that we're like, which is weird, right? The only Arcade OneUp that's not a multicade is Terminator 2.
Yeah. They're all multicades.
They're all multicades, but we know that's just semantics. We all attribute the term multicade to imply a cabinet that does not have artwork that represents a single cabinet. That's the distinction. And I think Sega Sonic's going to be a multicade. So finally, P-Dubs can cover Arcade OneUp on Multicade Mondays and it be legit. But he's got to buy a Sega Sonic.
So I will tell you, you nailed it for me with the Sega branding. I think doing the Sega multi-arcade cabinet. So the Genesis it was the Genesis version of the PlayChoice 10, the Sega Megacade, right? That's what it was called.
Yeah, the Mega Play, but
Mega Play.
It doesn't have an iconic look. I think they would sell more if they're like, it's like a Mega Play. They just say that, right? Like
It's got Jim Carrey on the side.
There you go, Jim Carrey on the side. No, they just has Sega artwork, right? It just has Sega artwork or Sonic artwork.
This thing looks terrible.
Wait, you mean my thumbnail of what I was like, this is what it's gonna look like?
No. What I got up here. Let's see if I can share the screen here now.
Okay.
You tell me if this is right. I'm going to go to Chrome tab. And where is it? Yeah, there it is. Is that what it looked like?
Put it on screen. I just see it down. Yes, that's the one I see, but you got to bring it up so everyone can see it.
Oh, so you can see it, but I can't see it. There
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the greatest looking arcade, but Bob's like, yeah, Sega Astro would sell so much better.
Wait a minute.
Oh,
wow.
no.
Wow.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Yeah, that actually would be awesome.
Or you think it's a Sega Astro City Cab, but with Sonic theme?
Yeah.
It's licensable. They came out with the Sega Astro City Mini. Like, that shape design can be done. It's been proven.
That changes everything. Seeing a Sega Astro City Mini Cab in my home arcade, that's different.
I'm going live right now. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how Arcade OneUp is coming out with a Sega Astro City Mini, but Sonic theme.
Yeah, let's just bring that up now, because that changes everything, because that would be something that, wow. I'm sure everybody's seen it before. Let's just give you something to look at, though.
Yeah. I don't know, though. It's like all the games that you would want to play on that, but they're just not ready. But maybe Arcade OneUp doesn't care. They're like, we're like,
you're in a hard place. You got to do something, right?
It's got to look like something, but maybe they can get away with it because it looks like a Sega Astro City Mini, but it's got Sonic on it. They're like, yeah, don't freak out that it's just, not an Astro City, but
what I would do with it is just do Astro City. I wouldn't even put any Sonic branding on it. Sonic branding goes on the box and it has the Sonic games, but it's just the Astro City Mini. That's how you sell it to your arcade hardcores too.
What if the marquee?
Yeah.
Okay. The marquee says Sega Sonic on it, so you appease that executive at Sega, right? He's like, okay, cool, but it's a Astro City, but you make it the new marquee so you can totally, and it's an XL. Oh my god.
Yeah. See, we fixed it.
We fixed it. And if it's not this, we're going to hate on it. People at ThinkUp, if you're watching, scratch the design. This is better.
This is like when they were revealing the NBA Jam XL, and they were like, "What does everybody think?" And everybody was like, "Boo! That's not an FL Blitz," because that was totally not Arcade OneUp's fault. That's us because we're rumor mongering, thinking, "Boo! You didn't do that thing that was projected."
Yeah. Oh, that could work.
But this would work. Like, this fixes everything, in my opinion. That fixes it.
Wow. This is it. This could work. Nooner, he's like, nope, I'm out.
Well, it's not going to be for everybody. But then again, I mean, if you look at that Sega Sonic cabinet, I mean, that thing's an atrocity. And then if you look at, I've never seen Sonic the Fighter, so I can't comment on that. But, I mean, it's a candy cab. It's got a distinct look. It's got a distinct shape. I like it.
Yeah, and it is one of those like, oh, we'll sell an XL version. An XL of that would be pretty sick, 19-inch, right? It's kind of a weird one because it would sit lower, right? The candy can't sit lower.
Yeah.
But and then you throw Sonic on it, and the hardcores might buy it because those are expensive. They're hard to find now, like at a good price.
Yeah.
And there's some people that would just buy it and they'd mod it, just like the old days, just like 2018. Go buy your Street Fighter and throw a pie in it.
So, yeah, Goofyfoot brings up a good point here. Thanks for the super chat, Goofyfoot. Earlier today, I said, if they sell a Sega branded Arcade OneUp cabinet, there's no way I'm going to buy it. Fast forward less than an hour.
I would buy this. I mean, lately I've been like putting the candy cabs on my list. Yeah. Nowhere in my area. Not a chance. Like, I'm gonna have to put out fielders and be like, whatever. Like, anyone I know in the market, be like, keep an eye out for me if you see one.
We do got to give credit to, I think it was Bob Oive who brought this up originally, the concept, because he steered us in this direction, and I think that's the direction it went. Anyways,
can we super chat him?
That's a new thing. We just super chat.
It's people. Reverse.
We
super
give you
chat.
money.
If you come up with great ideas, we will super chat you.
Yeah. Anyways, I just want to say, I think if they go in that direction, they do a Sega Astro City Mini, they can do their Sonic stuff as the main shit, and then they can put other arcade titles on it. It could even be like a Sega Legacy Cab, right? And then you do it as an Astro City Mini. You got something there. There's fire. There's a way to save that concept.
And then they build the cabinet once, and then we will never complain that they're just reskinning it. Because they're like, oh, it's the Astro City. That's like what you do with an Astro City, is you reskin to a different marquee, right?
Yeah, I will tell you what I don't want to see. I don't want to see the like. This is what Arcade OneUp will do sometimes. Like we saw it with, I know people liked it, but like to me, it like bothered me. But they were in a hard place. Marvel versus Capcom really didn't have any side art. The real arcade cabinet didn't. So they just created their own thing. And a lot of people are like, oh, it's the most beautiful cabinet Arcade OneUp ever did. But I look at it and I'm like, I can't get over the fact it's not authentic. So what I really don't want to see is this cabinet to come out and it just be like Sega Supersonic. And then it's just the new midway shape that they seem to be using for like a lot of their cabinets. It's not a unique shape, and it just has some random thrown together Sonic art on the side. Like to me, I don't want to see that from my arcade impression. That's not something I want to see in my arcade, but this is definitely something I want to see. Something with some kind of history, something with some kind of appeal. I'm very into this. The Astro City, Bob Boy, thank you very much.
Yeah. Ralphie says, what would it cost? Isn't that metal or plastic cabinet? I think it'd still be wood. They would just, the skin on it would look white with the green stripe on it. And
yeah, so some of the different features that they have in there, I think a good place to look at how that would work is Star Wars, because there's a lot of really fine, plastic detailing in the Star Wars cabinet, and they just kind of shaded it on the wood. I think that's what we get for the 3/4 Astro City Mini.
Yeah. Yep. Those are really, really popular in the fighting scene. You know, you go to any arcade that's got like where you can, like they run tournaments there. They got little candy cabs in them like crazy. They play really well. They're Japanese imports. I don't think they were popular here, right? But they have become popular.
Yeah.
And imported.
Yeah, there's an episode specifically of John's Arcade where he goes to like this retailer that makes, or it might have been Arcade Impossible, where they basically are like one of the biggest places of buying, repairing, and then reselling candy cabs in like all the US. It's, if I ever figure it out, I'll throw it back in the description of this video, but you can check that out. It was a huge popular hobby, and that was like 6-7 years ago. So I can only imagine like how hard they are to get now.
I bet this is what they do because tons of people will hate it. And it seems like that's what Arcade OneUp does these days. It's like, what? There's going to be, I mean, right? Like when Big Blue came out, we hated it and then we liked it. But like people that are like purists are like absolutely hate Big Blue because they're like, that's not a real Big Blue. A real Big Blue is 50 inches wide and it's got a marquee. And all real arcade owners talk like this, by the way.
Yeah.
But if they did an Astro City, it's like, well, you can buy an Astro City Mini for, $150 and, people might hate on that, but if it's an Arcade OneUp, they're gonna destroy it. They're like, "This is horrible,"
I can see the video. I can see the videos now.
Yeah. What are they doing? Stay in your lane.
Oh. Anyways, Justin, I think that's all we can do on this one.
I think that was our high note, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Genie Kate, what is this? Hold on here. Genie Kate is going soft, needs to ditch his fake news Frogger to get back full street cred. Oh, I pulled off one of my favorite trades I've ever made. For you guys who this weekend who tuned in and watched my Killer Instinct stream, I talked about it. I was having a lot of fun playing it, and I was like, I should talk to my buddy Mike, and he's been asking me about my Capcom Legacy cabinet. Maybe we could work out some kind of trade or something like that. He wrote me the next morning, and he was like, yeah, dude, let's do it. Game, totally game. So now own Killer Instinct.
Maybe you just trade with him from time to time, right? What's
Well,
your
yeah.
wife think about that? She just assumed.
My wife was very happy. She was like, so let me get this straight. You just trade with him. You're not spending any money. There's no additional cabs coming into the house because you're moving one out. Yeah, keep working this.
Yeah, she's like, this I like.
When did the show topics start? We've been doing show topics the whole time, Charlie Chuck.
He's like, oh, this is just their intro. Come on, let's get into the juice.
Well, anyways, guys, it is a good deal, and he's a good dude. I was happy to hook him up with a cabinet he liked. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I had a lot of fun talking about this, Justin. Thank you. You know, I wanted to go into this in great detail, and I would have went down a spiral that I never would have came back from. So thanks for keeping me on track and making it interesting, brother.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Anyways, guys, have fun. I don't know if P-Dubs was going live tonight. Usually I would have ended it right away, but I don't think he went live tonight, did he?
I didn't see anything.
I think it's Multicade every other Monday. That's the new name of the show. All right. Anyways, everybody, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Michael B. the Game Genie. Console Kit you already know about, but if you've never been there before, go over, subscribe to him. Make sure he has more subs than Twisted Chris. I'll talk to you next time.
All right, we'll see you.